Hello everybody, it is Christine. It is time for Stamp and Stencil Savvy, and I can't believe I actually got the name right this time. I usually mess up and I usually forget my stencil, but this time I planned ahead and I got my stencil out. So this is a year-long hop we do once a month, and there's always like a stamping challenge. I don't know if there's technically a stencil challenge, although maybe one of the months or something we talk about different things. But anyways, the stamping challenge this month is reverse stamping. And so the way reverse stamping works is you use the back of the stamp first, and then you typically will come back. You don't have to come back in, but then you come back in with the front of the stamp and you stamp it on top and you create your image. So I have pulled out this pink persimmon, You're a Jewel. I haven't a clue when or where I got this. It says 2009, so I don't know if that's when I got it or what, but it's kind of got these pretty little like circular images, and this really only works when you have like a uniform stamp. Like you can't have like different size edges in this or it'll be reversible and it'll be wrong. So anyways, I picked this one out and I got it in my stash because I had this photo. This is a picture, one of my daughter's modeling pictures, and I love this color, this background. So that's kind of where I was headed. So I got it in my stash and I had this piece of paper. I don't recall which paper pad it's from. It's fairly old though. And it's not exactly the same shade, but it's along the same shade as this. And then I pulled out a piece of cream cardstock because of her skin tone. I did pull out two inks. I have Scorched Timber and Weathered Wood, and I kind of put those down to see how they would look. They are distressed oxides. I hope it works. If I have to get over into a regular ink for the stamps, I will, but I'm hoping I can make these work. I'm going to actually stamp these. I'm going to try them on both white and cream because I don't actually know if this will stamp properly on the cream. I do have another piece of, no I don't, that's a lie. All right, so I may be using my white, like, spare cardstock here to stamp these on. And that's okay because I'll cut them out. That's my plan. So, I don't want to mat this on. I have white in her shirt here, so that may still work. Her bathing suit or whatever that is. Bodysuit. So, I think what I'm going to do, this is not the side I use, by the way. I kind of want to do like one of those, this gets me in trouble every time when I have to cut these in half. But I want to kind of make like a point so she can be in the center. And then I want those things to come out either from this direction or this direction. I have to kind of look at this. I mean, she's kind of looking, her face is kind of coming like this. So maybe it's this direction. And I'm going to stencil, I think, behind it. And I'm going to use, I don't think I'm going to use the flower part. And I say that and, because this is actually one of those, this is Sweet Sentiment Stamps. It's actually a double stencil. So you have both. And I was kind of thinking just to use this, but then I end up with really big things as opposed to small things. I don't know. I may still do this though. If I turn it this way, we'll see. I'm about to mess with that, y'all. And I have other cream cardstock, so if I boogered up, well, it's okay. Okay, so let me do this. Let me cut my paper because I always inevitably struggle with that. And I'm not sure, I need to put my center dot. It'll help me figure out how much I need to cut. Let's see. Let me get my pencil. We'll leave y'all in on the behind the scenes here, right? So 6 inches is around this spot. That's a little low, but now I'll come along here, and 6 inches is around this spot. So that's going to be where I want my points to kind of come. Which means, you know what I may do? I might glue it, and then I'll come back in on the back side and cut it, and then I could just flip it over. That'll be a little easier. So let's do, you know what? Let me cut my branding strip off. You know what? Let's do this together. Why not? I've had people say, oh, thank you for showing me how you did that triangle or this. For me, triangles are like the hardest thing to cut. In like layouts and whatnot. Although if you have a die, that's always awesome. I've seen like, you know, nice triangle dies and stuff like that. Okay, I'm gonna do it like this. And then my pattern's here. I need to come to here. Am I on camera? I don't know. I think it needs to be here. And then let's see, we gotta go corner, 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 corner. All right. And then we'll, let's see. I may have to tweak this just a hair because I want my corner. Okay. And then we'll just use our scissors. I might could tear, I don't know. This isn't real thick cardstock, if I'm honest. It's not thick cardstock. It's from my stash. There is no telling how old this is. It's funny to me how over the years it seems like cardstock and, you know, things have gotten thicker. We used to have such thin paper to use, and now it's like if we don't get, you know, 120 GSM, by golly, it's just crap. I guess that's true. I don't know. I've seen like manufacturers, they have really pretty designs, and I'll pick up the paper and go, nope, you're too thin. Can't use you. I'm kind of a, well, my friend Miss Tara has her channel's named The Paper Snob, and I completely relate to that. I completely relate to that. Okay, that's not a perfect triangle from there, but that's okay. It'll be fine. The only bad thing is I did that, and now I can't put my, oh yes I can. I'm okay. I'm actually smart because I can put my template down. I didn't glue that all the way. So I'll do that again. That actually, I did something smart by accident. That is usually how I do things smart, is by accident. Okay, so now we have this triangle, and we're gonna go corner to corner. Well, what's going on here? Corner to corner. All right. I know I have done this particular technique differently before. I just can't place it because I've ended up with this kind of piece of paper before. This little like diamond across the middle thing. This is such an old piece of paper though, you guys, I'm not gonna save it. Well, I might for a second. I might need to mount my photo, so we'll wait just a second, but no, I can't mount my photo. Because I have to have it touching. We'll see. Okay. All right, how cool is that? And I kind of love this cream with that, actually. Yeah, and so my photo's gonna go here. Yeah, I may mount this. I don't know. I do not know because I can't, this isn't going to work, obviously. So if I do mount it, it'd be like this, but then another piece of paper between. I might use white if I have to use white here. Okay, so let's set that aside for a second. And let's do our stamping. You know what? I need to run off because I forgot my blocks. So I'll be back on in a second. Okay, so I did run over and get my blocks, but I decided to do my stencil work first. And you guys, I have this whole system where I have a blue handle for my blue inks and a black handle for my black inks and my red handles for my red inks, whatever. And the first thing I do is pick up the wrong friggin' handle. I've got this like weathered wood, which is kind of a bluish color, and y'all, I picked up the black handle. That being said, it's fine. I just can tell when I put it down, there's a little bit of grayish, like, you know, to it. That being said, I think it looks lovely. I'm just annoyed that I picked up the wrong handle. Anyway, so I'm going to use my little stencil here, and I just kind of build it out. I let it be a little organic. I was kind of proud of myself. I didn't like end it in a square, so it just kind of fades outward or whatever. And I think this looks really pretty, actually. I'm honestly really pleased with how this turns out, considering it's not exactly monochromatic, but it kind of is. And especially with this color is it's a little different. It's kind of this greenish bluish gray or something like that. I don't know how to explain the color, but it's kind of a unique color, and it ends up looking really neat. Now I will tell you, I'm going to show you guys in just a minute this whole reverse stamping, and you guys, the first color combination I try is wrong. So I was looking at it and I thought, okay, there's kind of this greenish to me kind of undertone. So I go over and I pick up, what color did I do here? Oh, I do the timber, the scorched timber, because I thought, okay, this looks kind of cool. I'll do this. And then I thought, well, there's this greenish thing, so I've got to run over, or I may have already done, and grab a green ink. I think it's like forest something, and I use that on top. I will say, one of the stamps, the middle stamp, I realized after I started using it, some of the circles are gone. They're not there. Like, this is not a properly manufactured stamp in a second. This one works pretty well. Well, this one here is a little bit, well, my head, I'm sorry, you guys, I had to lean over. It's like the right side of it was like not even or something, so I have to kind of mess with it. I have never used these stamps. I don't know if you could tell when I first was showing you. They've still got the pricing and all that kind of stuff. I've never even used these stamps. So I can tell they're not, and I clearly got them. I don't know where I got them, but they're not terribly high quality. Actually, I say that. That's terrible to say. The acrylic and everything seems fine, but they just weren't like, the cuts weren't right or something. So anyway, I start off with this scorched timber. Here's where I'm gonna do this green. There's the green right there that I'm gonna use, and I stick it on top of the scorched timber. I don't hate the color combo, but after I do these, I'm gonna realize it's the wrong color combo for this layout. So first I'm gonna go through and do, so the reverse stamping you saw, I did the back of the stamp, and now I'm doing the front of the stamp, the actual regular stamp, and I'm going back over it. I will say the thing I thought was kind of neat, it looks almost like I had kind of cleaned the stamp, and I think I had a little water somewhere in there, and it gave me really neat effect. I'm going to keep these because I do like them. They're just not the right color for this layout. I'll also actually grab my punch. You'll see me measure in just a second, and I'll go grab a couple of punches to punch out these bigger circles. I do have to cut the smaller ones, which you'll see me do some of that, but these top two here, I'm looking at that, realize this is where I've realized some of the circles are like missing on the edges of the stamp. Anyway, like I said, I'm going to go through and finish this up, and then I'll even punch them out and lay them on the layout and go, no, I don't care for that. So give me just 1 second, and I'll go ahead and, here's where I'm measuring it, going, okay, which size stamp are these? And I go, okay, I got like a 2.5 and then like a 1 and something. Now I'm doing the other color because I've punched them out and everything and realized those were totally wrong. So now I'm coming back over with the weathered wood as the base or the back side, and then I'm going to do the scorched timber on top, and that's the better color combo, which makes some sense because that's the two colors I picked. So I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know why I grabbed the green because that's not what I was intending to do, but anyway. So now I have my colors that look better. I'm cleaning this stuff, y'all. I probably should have cut some of this out, but I just kind of wanted to walk you through this process here. I actually even was cleaning and stamping, and I don't know, I was going back and forth and all that stuff. I really recommend doing all your reverse pieces first and then coming back with your front, because you have to clean your inks otherwise. And that's, but I wasn't certain. I was kind of messing with this, right? I was still kind of testing the colors and all the things. So I've used my punches, I've cut them out. The small ones you're seeing there were the other little stamps. I had to hand cut those. I don't think I had a punch that matched it. I might have had one on the medium small, but I don't know. I just went ahead and cut those by hand. And I've laid them out and glued them down with a little bit of Nuvo glue so that when I lay the photo on top, it's going to be kind of a little diagonal deal. The photo, I went ahead and mounted on like a piece of scrap, like ivory colored paper, and then I did the paper that I've got the triangles as the next mat, and then I did like a dark brown because it kind of felt like that scorched timber to me. And I think this looks cool. Like I said, I think it turns out really neat. So here's my photo. You can see that. It's kind of big. I wished I had waited to glue down the circles until after I had the photo matted, because when I glued them down, it was with the photo not matted, and I've got a few of them a little farther under the photo that I would have preferred not to, but I still, again, think it looks okay. So I got my photo laid down. I got my little circles laid down. I actually you saw a second ago, I put some splatters of the weathered wood also around. And here's where I had gone off into my stash, and I found a title in kind of that bluish color, and it's lovely. I start underneath the photo. I'm going to move that. I decide I don't care for that because it's just kind of floating there. I went to look for some embellishments and stuff, and I go, you're just floating there, and I didn't care for it. So I'm going to actually ultimately move that to on top of the photo, and you can see that there. Here's where I'm going to pull out some sequins. It's from Spiegelmom Scraps. I'm going to pull out, this has actually got a few, like a turquoisey color in there, but I'm not going to use that. So I've actually dumped it in my little clear container because I want to use the more neutral colors that's in this mix. It's kind of, there's like a little clear, there's a little bit kind of brownish color, kind of. There's a little peachy color, and again, that's kind of matching her skin tones in my mind. So I'm going to go through, and I'm going to use my little wax pen here and a little Nuvo glue and just kind of randomly drop these in here. Sometimes I'll, use my hand or whatever, but this one, since I was picking specific colors, I kind of went and grabbed it. I think I need some new wax tips, you guys. I don't think this is working really good because, see, I'm having to use my finger to, make it stay. I don't know what's happening there. I don't know if it's me or that wax tip or whatever, but it helps pick them up, but I have trouble getting it to lay down. But yeah, I'm just going to use my Nuvo glue and kind of glue, maybe, I don't know, 15 or 20 of these little sequins around. And I like that a lot. And then I will actually decide I need something else. And so this whole layout was actually kind of a good stash busting layout. I had pulled out an old piece of paper. I pulled out a stencil I hadn't used. I pulled out some stamps I hadn't used. These, I don't know if I've ever used these particular sequins for that matter. And in a second, I'm going to get off into my little container of die cuts that I've made, and I have some vellum ones, so you'll see that in just a second. But yeah, I was actually really pleased with how much I got to use out of my stash on this layout. which is kind of alarming because I'm looking at my big stack of scrap room kits over here too, and I need to use some of those. I have so much to use, you guys. Sometimes I get a little overwhelmed when I think about everything I want to use. And I mean, I have good scrappy time too. It's not like I don't. And I'm thinking to myself, how am I ever gonna, I'll never use it all because I buy all the time too, but I don't know. I go, there's so much I want to do. Like I could do this all day, literally. So here's my little envelope of vellum pre-cut dies. And so what I have done, I had like maybe a sheet of vellum in the past, and I ran that sheet through with a bunch of dies, especially these little leaf ones, and gave myself some pre-cut vellum die stuff. I'll have other shapes inside that little envelope, but these are the ones I wanted. I will snip off the very ends because they're a tad long, but I'm just going to build a little bit of a vellum leaf bit thing coming out, and I think it's cool because it's not, there's no color, right? So it's still neutral-ish, and so that bluish greenish color is still the main color. So I'm just kind of figuring out where I kind of want these things, and like I said, I will come back in a moment and snip off some of the bottoms because they're just a little too long, and putting them up, I mean, I can stick them up underneath the photo, but it's a waste because I lose some of the pieces. So I'll snip those off, and I'll actually end up using those bottom pieces as a few little extra details. I'll end up using Nuvo glue just to glue those down. And then one last thing I do, well, I should probably hush for just a second until you get to see it. But basically, there's kind of where I'm putting those vellum pieces. See, there's my little envelope. I checked to see is there any other shapes I want to use. I decide no. I do have this little container to the left right there where I've kind of taken scrap papers and pre-cut with my dies. And I'm finding that pretty helpful, actually. So I decided to get off in these little wordy bits here. I think those are old Tim Holtz things. And I find one that just says heart and soul. So I put that above the word lovely. And I think that's really pretty. So this is my Stamp and Stencil Savvy layout, you guys. What do you think? I think this turned out really pretty, and I was proud I remembered the stencil this time. So make sure you check out the playlist below. There's a bunch of people that play along, of course, every month. Since it's a monthly hop, sometimes people play that can, and I mean, there's, the various different amounts of people that play, but definitely playlist, so make sure you check it out. Don't forget to like and subscribe, say hello, all the goodies, and we will see you next time. Bye.